Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this, your afternoon sunrise safari. That is a giraffe. My name is James, and this is Safari Live.
Ready. Standing by.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. You are live, you are live.
And that fellow is absolutely fascinated by us. I'm not really sure why. Well, I do actually think I know why. On camera today we have Eggsy, and I think he's possibly looking at the rather odd tattoo on Eggsy's right forearm. Good afternoon, Eggsy. Good afternoon. My name is James Hendry, and we are with you for the next 3 hours. You won't be staring only at that giraffe or listening to my voice droning on at you. On the other vehicle, we have Brent Leo Smith. He is being filmed by the equally tall, in fact, even taller, Brian Joubert, sporting a beautiful buff. In fact, these two male giraffes could conceivably be called Brent and Brian, given their incredible stature. Then also, big treat, of course, for everybody, Stef is on walk today, and he's being filmed by Willem Doornbraak. Willem Doornbraak, of course, is the same size as me, and therefore he is, he's kind of being manhandled by the backpack as he goes out on foot this afternoon. In the final control, we see in the voice and Rebecca on the keys. And our plan this afternoon, once we have sufficiently enjoyed these giraffe, is to head towards Buffelshoek Dam and see if we can't find those lions, the little cubs that we saw this morning, perhaps the rest of the Nkuhuma Pride as well. You're most welcome. Please talk to us through the course of the afternoon. You can ask us about these giraffe. You can ask us about these rather splendid clouds just sort of moving over us from the southeast. You can ask us about the great continent on which we live. You can ask us about South Africa, the world's most beautiful country. That's where we are right now, in the northeast corner of South Africa, in the iconic Kruger National Park. Anything you like, hashtag SafariLive if you're on Twitter, or questions at wildearth.tv if you happen to be on the email. So that is the plan for the afternoon. It is a great joy to have you with us, and it is my pleasure, of course, to do this every single day. I drive around in this incredible wilderness, and some people call it work. Right, let's go a little bit forward, get another view of these raffies. I think Brent is heading off towards Arathusa for what should be a very pleasant surprise sighting. I know he alluded to it just before the end of the drive. And we're going to give you one more look at these giraffe, but we're not going to stick around with them because on Arathusa, with your afternoon sunrise surprise, Brent Leo Smith.
Well, here we go. It is indeed Karula and her cubs. That is little Shongile, the female cub. Yes, hello. All those flies are biting you. And this is quite a strange place for us to find Karula. It's quite deep inside Arathusa. But anyway, welcome to the Sunset Surprise Safari with myself. And of course, where would I be without the thumb and Brian Joubert? So the killer bees are out and about, and we're lucky enough to start the Sunset Safari with Karula and her cub. So little Shongile lying in a little ravine caused by a drainage system. Just need to be on the game drive radio quickly. Afternoon mobile stations. There she is, those beautiful eyes. Oh, and a big fat belly. Oh, she's looking up at the kill. So Mom has been very successful. She's caught a yearling impala ram, which is up in the tree. Now let's just move along and see what else is around. Now, if you are wondering about this leopard that is sitting next to us, indeed we are live looking at 3 leopards, in fact, in total. So there's one. And there's another. And that's the mother of the cubs, lying and sleeping over there. And the young male cub, well, I can just make him out through the bush to the left of us. But above Mom, or above and to the right, is the impala that she must have caught last night. There's still quite a lot of meat on it. Let me move for you there, Brian. There we go. So a year-old impala ram fell prey. Oh, to Queen Karula. Okay, so Brian, where Karula is, come back up. And there. Just, okay, a little bit to the left. A little bit there, center screen. There we go. Up a bit. There's an impala. Snorting, we can actually hear them snorting. Now, I wonder what they might have spotted, because Karula's lying quite flat. They might have smelt her. Oh, off they go. So, possibly even from the same herd that that tree climbing impala belonged to. Now, it's quite warm. Her kill is safe in a tree. So she's going to be sleeping quite contentedly. And remember, if you have any questions about where we are, what we're doing, and what we're seeing, hashtag SafariLive on Twitter, or questions@wildearth.tv on email. Oh, what have you seen? The young male is up to something. So there are 2 cubs. I think he's just listening to those impala, but we don't have the best view of the young male at the moment. He is in quite a little thick section, but we haven't seen Karula and the cubs for quite some time, so quite nice to catch up with them. I think the best visual is of the young female at the moment. Let's have a look if we can get it. Shh. There we go. Now they are growing incredibly fast, as Anne says. We leave them for a few days, and now they've become huge. So they're all present and accounted for, all 3 little cubs, or 2 little cubs and Mom. What a wonderful way to start the sunset safari. I'm going to move back towards the little female. She's giving us the best view at the moment. Are we going to freewheel? Are we going to make it, Brian? Yes, no? A bit more? Almost. Okay, start the car. We've got a nice little shady spot there. I was hoping that one of them might be up in the tree feeding, but alas, looks like they're taking an afternoon siesta. Now, the big cats of Africa are really fond of siestas. A leopard probably will siesta about 18 hours a day. They have grown incredibly quickly. They're just over 6 months old now. Now, can you believe the first time they were seen on SafariLIVE, they were less than 8 hours old? Now, that is Shongile, which is the little female. And what her name means is the exquisitely beautiful one. And she has those wonderful brown eyes. Now, what she's listening to is, I think it's those impala. I can hear, maybe not only impala, something else moving through the thickets behind her, but she's not too perturbed by that. See how her ears are always on the move. Now, it's we're going to be able to see some very, very interesting behavior when it comes to leopard cubs and their mother, if both of these 2 make it to adulthood. So while they are young, up to about a year, leopards have about a 70% mortality rate for the cubs. Once they've got to a year old, that mortality rate drops down incredibly to sort of less than 10%. Now, she's probably going to leave her mom a lot sooner than young Hosanna, the little prince, who's her litter mate, her brother. And female cubs generally become independent, sometimes even as much as a year before male cubs. Now, what will normally happen is that Karula will then sequester a part of her territory to the young female to give her a good start in life and to make it a little bit easier for her first few years. She's probably not going to mate till she's about 3, even though, or maybe even 4, and even though she will be independent, probably, I think we might even have to have some gambles on this one. When will young Shongile become independent from Karula? I say at a year and a half. I think she'll be probably completely independent from her mother. Whereas I think young Hosanna will still be running around after mom getting food. Aaron in New Zealand said, how awesome to see our beloved leopard family again. It's been quite a while. It has been. I can't actually remember the last time I saw Karula and cubs. It was a while ago. Oh, such a precious sleeping little darling. Oh, there we go. Get more comfortable. So as we're talking about the dispersals of these cubs, it's probably Hosanna is probably going to hang around with Karula till he's about 2, maybe even a bit older, before he becomes completely independent from his mother. Now, the reason for this is that male leopards don't have that nice sort of slightly more cushy start that female leopards do, where they have a territory that has been sort of gifted to them by their mother. They have to now go away from their natal territory or their home territory and go into the big, bad, wide world and range for a couple of years, normally till they're about 5 or 6, sometimes as young as 4, but normally about 5 or 6 years old, before they can challenge for a territory of their own. And so they probably stay with mom a little bit longer, and mom looks after them a little bit longer because they need to be a bit bigger, a bit stronger to survive in the African bush. So they're just under, well, they're 6.5 months old now. And Kat in Tampa is wondering, is it safe to say that these two probably have a pretty good survival chance? Definitely, though, every month they get older, their chances for survival get higher and higher. So the riskiest point is until they're about 3 months old, or even when they're not so good at climbing trees. Now they're very adept at climbing. So if a hyena happened to arrive, they'd be up the tree in a flash. So it's all to do with avoidance of other predators. And even if another male leopard had to come, they could probably get out of his way. So the biggest killer of leopard cubs is in fact male leopards, and dispersal male leopards, like hopefully young Hosanna will become. Speaking of young Hosanna, while his sister's napping, let's go see if he's up to something. And I have the sneaky suspicion he's napping too. Where's he go? Oh no, he's skulking about. Let me just try to get a spot where we can see him nicely. Oh, unfortunately, he's in behind a little bit of a thicket, but he's watching us. Hey, little man. There he is. You can see that leopard's fantastic camouflage at work. So it's not uncommon for them to lie separately during the quiet times. Oh, look at that, you can just see the sunlight catching his eye through the bush. So let's chat a little bit about where they are in relation to where Karula normally is. So they are quite far to the west. This is what we would generally consider very much Shadow's territory. I just need to find my... And the last time I saw a Salahesh was not too far from here either. Are you going to move, mister? Are you getting hungry? Such a pretty boy. So now, there's always debate about the male lineage of leopards. So, where or who the father is. And it's always quite difficult for us to actually say. So without genetic testing, it's very, very seldom that they'll pick up any physical attributes in terms of similar spots to either their mother or father. And the only way to really tell paternal parentage is through genetics. Oh, side kitty. While he's lying in the bush there, let me just show you exactly whereabouts we are at the moment. Okay, now let's test. Oh no, don't want to do that. We don't want to do that, Brian. What have I done? There we go, that's what we want to do. So we are actually going to put a red dot where we are. Yeah, and you see that red dot? Or orange dot if you want to be very particular. So this is, the white is Arethusa, where we are there. And we're on the road called the Magic Woolly Road. And traditionally, this area, will change colours. Traditionally, Karula's territory ends about there. So this is generally what Karula's territory does. I mean, none of these things are set in... Oh, why are they not working? Set in stone. So that's now normally this side is Karula and this side is Shadow. So you can see it's probably from the normal boundary. I'm guessing probably about 1.5 kilometers, 2 kilometers from the boundary, and we've been seeing, let's change colors. Oh, well, I don't know what I've done, Brian. Come back, pen thingy. Maybe it's that squiggly line. Oh no, what's going on? Let's try that. I don't, oh, there we go, there's the pen thingy. Okay, sorry about that. So, and also what we've been seeing, which is quite interesting, That's a bit too close in colour, I think. Let's go black. So we've been seeing Salahesh all around this area. I've seen her just below the Arathusa Dam. We've seen her all the way down on the Arathusa airstrip. So now there's Karula, and Salahesh has been seen in this area, and this is where the Marakane river system is, and she's been all along here, and that has always been traditionally shadow. So I suppose the big question is, and I get to do this, is going to be fun. The big question is, where is shadow? So it's very interesting how the leopard dynamics are playing out at the moment. But let's see. The young prince is asleep. The queen is fast asleep, and in true royal fashion, showing us her back. So I think our best bet is the princess, or Shongile, the most exquisite one. Let's see if I get my wheel down the hill right this time. Now, Liz is wondering whether Shongile is going to be small like Karula and Shadow, or she might pick up some larger genes from her father. Oh, I don't know. Listen, we're going to have to wait and see. I think she's going to be small like her mom. She's also quite pale like her mom as well. Oh, I thought she was thinking about climbing up that gardenia tree and feasting upon that impala. Sorry, my mic's fallen, so if you hear some funny noises, just me fixing it. Okay. So we are on Arathusa, and we've come out early to get here. There's the impala. Well, Scout Moose, Brian must have been reading your mind, because here's the impala. Wondering how long the impala will last. I think it'll probably be finished by tomorrow midday. I've eaten about half. Now they got full bellies. I'm going to work their way through it tonight and maybe tomorrow morning before it will be finished. Oh. Now there is a possibility they might lose that kill to a male leopard like Tingana or to a hyena. So an adult female leopard like Karula is very unlikely to drop a big piece of a kill like that to a scavenging hyena. But when female leopards have cubs, the cubs can be a little bit clumsy while they're learning, and they do lose a few kills by dropping them. Very, very peaceful down in the Tamboti thicket. Sorry, that mic is falling again. Let me just try to fix it. Brian, may I have some tape, please? It keeps tickling me and disappearing down my shirt. Well, thank you, sir. Now, of course, if you work in the wildlife film industry, there's two things you can never live without. One is cable ties, and the second is gaffer tape. It fixes everything. Microphone, gaffer tape. Flat tire, gaffer tape. Anything else you can think of, Brian? Injured. You need to. There we go. And Final Control is quite funny today. They say broken heart, gaffer tape. Cable ties, and I think that's a dual job. You can see she's panting quite heavily from all the impala she's been feasting on. We're going to stay here for a few more minutes, and then we're going to have to move on to let the Arethusa guys come in here and enjoy the incredible sighting. They are quite sleepy. I was really hoping we might find one in the tree. But if we come a bit wide, it's actually a very pretty little spot where we're sitting, particularly with the colours of the Tamboti trees and that beautiful yellows and oranges as their leaves are falling off. Quite late, but if we have a look a little bit higher there, you can see there's a little Tamboti thicket. You can see those wonderful colours. Okay, well, the little princess is asleep. Let's see if we can go have a look at the little prince. He might be out in the open a bit more. Oh, Mom's moved ever so slightly. A little roll onto the back. Deepat, oh sorry, I messed that up there. Deepat, what did you hear that? I didn't hear. Deepat Veg, who's a brand new, oh she's dreaming. Deepat Veg, sorry about that. And is a brand new viewer and is asking, is this really live? Well, it must be, because I'm answering your question. And what country are we in? We are in South Africa. And more particularly, we're in the low veld of South Africa, which is the northeastern part of South Africa, in an area called the Sabi Sands Game Reserve. Currently, I'm sitting on Arethusa Private Game Reserve, and we're part of an 8.5 million acre unfenced wilderness area known as the Greater Limpopo Transfrontier Park, that makes up the private reserves on the western side of the Kruger National Park, where we're sitting now, the Kruger National Park, and the Limpopo Transfrontier Park in Mozambique and in Zimbabwe. So it covers 3 countries, and the animals are able to move wherever they would like. Now, Karula is our dominant female leopard, the female leopard we see the most, and quite often referred very fondly by all our regular viewers to as the Queen of Djuma. At the moment, she's not on Djuma, she's on Arethusa, but I don't think we can take her title away for straying from her normal home range. But let's go try have a look at the little prince. I think we might be able to get a nice view of him. Oh no, wait, oh, the Queen wants her moment. Let's see. Did you see the royal wave? There was the royal wave as she stretched out her paw. I think that's about all she's going to do. We will keep an eye on her, see if she does move. But I don't think so. So if we do have any new viewers there, keep sending your questions in, hashtag SafariLive or questions@wildearth.tv. So just a quick insight. So this is my game drive radio, so I'm connected to all the safari lodges that are in the area. So if they find something or we find something, we're able to share the sightings, because the best way to find lots of animals is to share, and we can all look for animals together. But I'm going to see if we can get a view of the little prince. And that is exactly what his name means. Hosana is Shangaan, which is the local language here, and his name means the little prince, or the little chief. And there he is. You can see already at this young age he's quite a bit bigger than his sister. And also fat belly, full of impala. sleeping in the shade. Now, there's a great misconception that you find leopards draped in trees all the time. Most 90% of the time we'll find a leopard on the ground. So they will put their kills in trees to avoid hyenas and other potential predators such as lions stealing them. And when it is very hot, you do find leopards occasionally sleeping in trees, and that's to get into the wind and to get away from a lot of the biting flies. They are just too gorgeous. So I hope you guys are taking screenshots, share them on our Facebook page, SafariLIVE, or pop them on Twitter with the hashtag SafariLIVE. Oh, it looks like he might head back towards the kill. Yay, some movement. Not a sleepy kitty. Or he could just be finding a new spot to sleep. Okay. Let's follow him in. Could be going to see his mom. Could be going to harass his sister. Could be going to have an early afternoon snack. Am I behind us, Brian? We're good? Looks like he's just found another snoozing spot, although he does look like he might be stalking his sister. Now that is a game leopard cubs play all the time. See how his ears are quite flat? Oh no, mom's up the tree. Okay, let's... You can see him, he's heading towards mom. Maybe he's getting a bit jealous of mom's dinner. We'll try and get into a spot where we can see her. So she just ascended the tree to feed. It's amazing how incredibly dexterous and agile leopards are. Look at that. So her getting up and starting to feed is probably what prompted the little prince to do the same. Any Arethusa. There we go. Look at him lying under mom while she feeds. And I think little Shongile, the little female, is still fast asleep. Ryan. Sorry, I just need to chat to the other guys who've just got out. Crunch, crunch. You can actually hear her breaking those bones from here. Roy. Look at that, right up in the low felt gardenia. Sorry, just got to be on the radio. Roy, just myself at Krula Mampimpa. As soon as you guys arrive, I'll make space. FM. Sorry, I'm just chatting to Roy from Arathusa. We're going to have to move out shortly as the other vehicles are going to come in here to view them, and we've been with them for the last half an hour. Okay, so I've just got to deal with the game drive radio for a second. So while I do that, let's go say hello to Steph, who's out on foot.
Good afternoon, and I hope wherever you are in the world that you're having as good a day as what we are today. It's one of these hazy days that is quite warm, but not that oppressive heat of October just yet. I'm Steph, and on camera today with us is VM. Right, it's been such a long time since the start of the show with you being spoiled to all these leopards. I've forgotten what I need to do by the time you come to me, but welcome to the bushwalk. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, we're walking around in exactly the same bush that Brent and James are driving around in, only we don't have a car, and we just basically ambling through the bush here to see what we can show you this afternoon. And one of the first things that I'd like to show you is on the base of this termite mound. Right there you can see this funny, I would almost call it a pattern, only it is quite chaotic. There, in the middle of your screen now, you'll notice that that almost looked like that sand almost looks pressed. And I would warrant, if we walk there, that we will see the impressions of an elephant's skin. And that is exactly what I'm expecting to see there. Elephants use the side of termite mounds to lie down and sleep. What makes that quite unusual at this time of the year is that there is so little nutritional value in the bush at the moment that elephants are finding themselves feeding up to 24 hours a day actually. And so to see a fresh imprint of where elephant actually have been sleeping is quite amazing for me actually. Let me see if I can outline it for you where we're going to be. So this is where the elephant's foot was. And here you can see where I would imagine his leg to be, the back of his leg and his hip, right up to here. The gap that we see between here and this track is where his tail was. This is where his tail was swishing. And here we have his back. This is now over his spine, where I'm walking here now, following my pointed stick. His spine, and this is where his head and his ears would have been, right here. And I almost think that if we look carefully enough, we'd see where his ears would have been. That would be this area here, and then right at our feet is his front foot. And that is this here. That's where he stood up. Isn't that amazing? So right here an elephant slept, and you can see the patterns of his skin. For those of you who watch our show regularly, you can see all the wrinkles in the elephant's skin, in particular there where his legs lay, and it's quite impressive, I must be honest with you. And he would have used the side of this termite mound as a type of pillow, so that he was slightly propped up I would presume it's a male, slightly propped up, and that he could use the slight angle of this particular terminal mount to stand up again. It's quite nice, eh? It's nice, there's pictures that you can generate in your mind from looking at the tracks of an animal's passage or the signs of an animal's passage through here. I quite enjoy looking at things like this. Let's see if we can find some, oh, right here. Right. Right, now while I see if we can decide if it's a male or female elephant, I'll ask, I'm going to answer a question from a new viewer called Mantovani, if I get that right. Firstly, I just want to say welcome to the Wild Earth platform and welcome to the Wild Earth community, and you're going to have a lot of fun with us. And you've asked me an interesting question, where's the car? Why am I not in a car? Particular, the bushwalk it has its characteristic of not being in a car. We are on foot, it's just myself and VM, and then we've got a game scout with us, old Herbert. Just the three of us in the bush, completely untied. And I'm going to show you that now by making a full circle, and you will see that there's no big helicopter waiting in the covers. It's just literally just the three of us here in the bush. And we basically look for everything that you're going to see from a car, but we can get a lot closer to the smaller creepy crawlies, and we can bring different aspects of the bush to you. And that's why we don't have a car right now. That I leave up to Brent and James, who are supremely gifted at that. Now, back to the question about whether or not this was a male or a male elephant or a female elephant in a herd. And this is deceiving because we've got dung here of all the same age. This is a elephant dung. This looks, they come out in these funny boluses that can weigh up to 80 kilograms. Of 160 pounds of dung can fall out at one particular time. Not this time of the year because their diet is made up mainly of sticks and grass. And you can see a stick there, that definitely isn't a piece of grass. Here we've got another stick that's been chewed there. Not that fresh, as you can see. More than half of it has actually dried out. There you can see the inside of the elephant dung. Not particularly pleasing, but at least the elephant isn't standing right here about to stand on us. Now, we only saw one elephant with tracks and signs of one elephant sleeping there, and all this elephant dung is the same age, which would make you think that it was probably a herd. When you've got dung of the same age all around a sleeping area, can you imagine one elephant lying down, the rest standing and waiting for that elephant to wake up for a couple of hours a night? But the size of this elephant dung here and the lack of baby elephant dung tells me that this was probably a small bachelor herd of elephant that was standing underneath this tree, and one of the group decided to go and sleep against that termite mound. That would account for the size of the track on the side of the termite mound. It would also account for the size of the dung that we're seeing over here and the relativity of the fact that the age of this dung is all exactly the same, and it's not all from the same individual. They don't leave a little bit of dung here and leave a little bit of dung there. So we've got a nice picture in our head. Group of male elephant that probably spent some portion of the night around this particular area, and one of the group decided that it was a good idea to go for a sleep against that termite mound. That's anyway the picture that I'm going to stick to. All right, let's carry on through the bush here and see what we can find. And immediately I'm struck by this odd hole that has just appeared out of the grass here. Now, what you never do to a hole in the bush is you never ever ever approach it like I'm doing now. So I'm gonna demonstrate the wrong way of doing it. But what I am gonna do first is just throw a stick in there just to make sure that nothing comes out. All right, there's no growl or anything like that. So the absolute bad thing to do is to walk like this up to a hole in the bush and bend down in front of it. The reason for that is warthog. Warthog reverse into holes in the bush like this, into holes around about this size. They reverse bum first into the hole with their tusks pointing out, and the first thing that they do when something silly like a human comes and stands in front of it is they run out of the hole and they run slashing their tusks from left to right through your thighs, cutting the femoral artery off. And so we don't ever approach holes in the bush, standing directly in front of it. What I absolutely think this is, it is the excavation of an aardvark or an ant bear. I don't think that anything else has excavated it. It goes too down and it's too deep without a vertical change or a horizontal change. So I think that this was just a very committed ant bear that was looking for some termites to feed on at some point. Anyway, on that note, we're going to send you through to James, who's got an update for you.
Hello everybody, I'm afraid we don't have much of a good update for you. Now, let me just explain where we are. We have come basically past Buffelshoek Dam. There were some elephants there and we left them and we came down. The lions came basically from directly behind you. They came down into this area this morning as the rain began. After that, I don't know where they went. We sort of ran for home because it was impossible to follow them. So we've come in from the other side. We've got to where I thought they were going to be and they're not there. So we're kind of making our way back out of here. I don't know how far they've gone. We did a road called Hyena Road, not too far from here, sort of in a westerly direction. They didn't pop out there. There were buffalo there, there were impala there were kudu and waterbuck, so it's unlikely that they popped out there. So what I think we'll do is we'll head down south along the drainage line, and we'll follow the line to where we used to, or where we've seen her 3 or 4 times, just on Nyala Road North, basically where the drainage line that feeds out of the dam here joins with another one. And we might be lucky there. Of course, when we left them, they were certainly moving. That was at about, 20 to 9 this morning. And so it's not really surprising that they're not in exactly the same place that they were this morning. I thought they might be in this drainage system. I'm still pretty confident that they are, but I think they may well have turned south and headed down sort of towards the south. So we'll head along there, we'll see what we can come up with. If we don't, well, it's a most beautiful afternoon, as I'm sure you've seen from Steph and Brent, and hopefully Brent will be able to spend a bit longer with the great queen and the prince and princess. Marvellous that they're back, of course. Very jealous that I'm not seeing them, but hopefully we'll have some lions, and I won't have any cause to feel jealous anymore. Light is very stunning here. So while the light is good and the going is good, let's head back across to Brent and those beautiful leopards.
So we unfortunately had to leave Karula and her cubs. There's a lot of vehicles who are really excited to see her, and they don't get to see Karula as often as we do because she doesn't come this part of the world, and a lot of them don't have traverse on Djuma. So we've decided we will be very nice and share, and we're going to go head towards Red Dam. Now I'm on my way towards the Knobthorn open area, so that big question mark I drew, where is Shadow? Maybe she's around here. So decided we'll just have a nice calm little look through an area I haven't been into for the last couple of days, see if we find anything interesting or fascinating here, which I'm sure we will. So we're looking for tracks. I'm heading towards a waterhole, hoping there might be some elephants, maybe some buffalo, and there has been a hippo residing in Red Dam recently as well. Okay, so when you get a junction of roads like this, it's always a good place to just slow down a little bit and have an extra careful look for tracks. Now, most of the road networks out here in the African bush are based on old elephant paths. So there's a good chance that a lion or a leopard could have been walking down it. So they really do like walking down roads, and we often find their tracks on the roads. I'm deciding to take a road I don't think I've done in about a month. Now this is an area where shadow can disappear quite easily. So we're sorry, I'm just listening to the game drive. So I'm batting together. I think it's Sayed, and Sayed's a brand new viewer. So another big SafariLIVE welcome to you, and welcome to the biggest game drive vehicle in the world. So just found your feed and really loves it, and is really excited to be on safari with us, but worried about our safety driving around lions and leopards and elephants and open vehicles. Well, don't worry about our safety. I guarantee you 110% I am safer here in the middle of the bush in my open car than I am crossing a road on a busy road in a big city, or any big city for that matter. Fortunately, all of us have lots of experience in dealing with these animals, and also most animals don't want to hurt you. If they get upset with you, they might give you a warning charge, tell you to go away, or you've come too close. And depending on how you react and how you read those situations, it depends on your safety. And fortunately, I don't think I've ever felt in massive danger since I'm out in the African bush. And that's not completely true. I have had some hairy experiences over the years, but not since I've been at SafariLIVE. And it is definitely safer than living in New York or London or Boston or Shanghai or wherever in the world. Now, the reason we're able to drive around in open vehicles is a slightly different story. So, the open vehicle is basically the main reason. It's not from there's no particular reason it's open apart from the fact that I can see better. So I can look there, there's nothing in my way, I can look here. The camera can swing wherever it needs to. And these animals don't see the vehicle sort of as a living thing as such. It smells like gasoline and oil, and very unappetizing if you're a lion or an elephant. Or elephants don't eat us, but the one thing that'll happen is that on foot, it's always more dangerous. And because the bipedal upright figure of man is visible, and us as human beings are the dominant diurnal predator. So even lions, 90% of the time on foot, will run away from you during the day. Now, if we're sitting right next to a lion or a leopard and I had to stand up in my seat and they can see that bipedal figure, it'll cause them to either run away or become aggressive. So as long as we sit down, we don't stand up and show that we are bipeds, and the main reason for that is that it's an instinctive response to a predator. So it's the same as a zebra seeing a lion or a leopard seeing a hyena close to it. So that same standing up like that would cause the same reaction as another predator close to another animal. So we're getting quite close to the waterhole now. I haven't heard any elephants just yet, but you never know. That is the wonderful thing about being on a live safari. I could turn the corner and there could be Tingana, our dominant male leopard, lying in the sand. And this is a favorite haunt of his in this area. So we're dropping into a little dry riverbed now called the Murakani, and we do see Tingana frequently around here and around the Red Dam waterhole, which is where we're heading now. I think the people who are in the biggest danger, sad to end this over, is the cameraman. Because we have to drive through all the bushes and thorns, and they are sitting higher than us, and they get caught up in the trees occasionally. Brian, I haven't done too much damage yet. Not yet. I think Scott did the most damage to Brian. Yeah, Scott nearly killed him. The aerial that sends you the signal happened to whack Brian on the head and nearly concussed him. Now, we've got a wonderful question from the Breakfast Safari Club. Now, this is a group of viewers who get together and over breakfast enjoy Safari Live. And their oldest member is 97 years old. Now, that is impressive. And I wonder, do you still get a letter from the Queen when you turn 100? I think that's only British subjects. But my great-grandmother got one. But to answer the question, which is how many, what's the oldest person I've ever taken on safari, I would say it was 84, I think, if I remember correctly. 84 years old, and that's not counting my gran, who's come on safari actually this year with me, but at home on a game drive, and she's 93, fit as a fiddle at 93, but yeah, so probably my gran's the oldest person I've ever taken on a game drive at 93 years old. Right in the center of that fallen tree there is a very pretty little bird. You've got him, Brian. A little bit lower. There we go, there we go. Little black-crowned chagro by the looks of things. Yes. And you see that very prominent black crown. So for our new viewers, a lot of our regular viewers not only keep lists of all the mammals they see, but all the birds. So for our new viewers out there, if you're wanting to start a bird list, there's the first bird for you, the black-crowned chagra. We've got a few more birds here, so let's just move a little bit forward. Maybe we can add number 2 and 3 as well. We've got some of the noisiest birds in the African bush fluttering about in there. And there it is. Oh! Oh no, there he is. Just come to the right. So there we go. There's an arrow marked, or there was an arrow marked, there he is at the back. An arrow marked babbler. Now I'm hoping they would babble, as that gives away their name. They're incredibly loud birds, the arrow marked babblers. But not the best sighting. We'll try to get you a better sighting. So while we move on and to see what else we can find, I'm going to send you back to Steph, who's exploring the African wilderness on foot.
Now, welcome back to us, everybody. And this hole intrigued us immensely in the side of this termite mound. It's an enormous termite mound, I must say. And as you'll see VM going inside there, you'll notice that there's a bunch of flies flying around the entrance of this burrow. I'm going to point out one. There's one there. And here's one here. And I've actually managed to catch one over here. Now, for those of you who know me a little bit better, I really don't like flies. They have this absolute knack of flying around my head and getting in my nose and on my lips and everything that freaks me out. But these particular flies are very special because these particular flies suck blood from ant bears and from porcupines. I'm convinced that these flies are host specific to porcupines or ant bears. And because these flies are in attendance around this burrow, I think that inside here is a porcupine or an ant bear. Now, what makes me think that it's a porcupine is the fact that right at the entrance of this particular hole is this bone. And if you have a look at the edge of this bone, this is the shoulder blade of probably an impala or a young kudu or wildebeest. I'm now looking for gnaw marks from sharp incisors. Porcupine are rodents, and rodents quite often gnaw on bones. I can't see any evidence of gnawing. I must be honest with you. I was expecting a little bit more. But absolutely, at the entrance to porcupine burrows, you do find a lot of these types of bones. And that, the bone plus the flies, tell me that there's something in here. So why are there flies at the entrance of the burrow and not on the animal itself? Quite simply, an animal that lives in a burrow has the ability to dig itself out of a hole if the tunnel collapses on it. So what the flies do is they know that they can't. So as the animal goes into the hole, the flies stay behind on the outside. They spend the day here, and as that animal comes out at night time, the flies then rejoin that animal and suck its blood and become part of that animal while it moves through the bush. And then when it goes down again at the end of its evening's forage, they then stick around the entrance. Now, I just think it's quite fascinating. I've never seen a study on the flies that are host specific to aardvark in particular, but you can go and have a look at some of the reference material if you want and see if you can help us find anything. I love sharing information on walks like this, so if you do find anything about the flies or the associated flies on aardvark, you're welcome to send some interesting facts about it to questions@wildearthtv on email, or use the hashtag SafariLIVE on Twitter, and I will try and share it with you as much as possible. Let's see if I can get you a picture of this fly again. Just for those of you who didn't catch the screen grab, there's one right there. We can either use that one, see if, there we go. Oh, here's one in the sun view. Here we go. Oh, here's one here, I think it'll probably be good. They're not sitting still, and it's because it's quite a hot day. These flies would be lazy, a little bit lazier as the temperature drops, but right now you can see there aren't. And there must be about a dozen flies here. I would say 8 to about 12 flies here. Good. That's about as much as I know about flies around a hole in the middle of a termite mound. So let's get on with the walk. We'll give you an idea of the size of this termite mound from a little bit back here. It's not that big. I did a termite mound the other day that was easily 3 times this one size, but it's definitely a sizable termite mound. I'll walk up and go stand at the top here. It's quite often difficult to gauge size until someone like me standing on the top. I'm a good 6 foot 1 inch, and I'm sure at the moment I'm looking quite insignificant. I feel quite insignificant standing on this mountain of sand that is essentially just grains of sand and bits and pieces of chewed wood that have been glued together with saliva from an insect no bigger than the gap between my fingernails at the moment. No bigger than that. This entire mountain of sand has been mined and moved by a termite that size, gluing it together grain by grain with just their saliva. Amazing, isn't it? These termite mounds also give us quite a nice perspective on what the bush is doing around us. This particular block is devoid of life, hence me doing flies around a hole to keep you interested in the show. Anyway, let's carry on. Cecilia, you've asked me, am I wearing covers on my shoes, and what shoes do I recommend for a bushwalk? I am in fact wearing covers on my shoes. These are, I suppose for lack of a better word, gaiters. I don't know, they're not gaiters, but that would be what it is. They actually stop grass seeds from going into the shoe and sticking in my sock and then trying their best to saw my foot off. An eternal bane. They're not here to stop snakes from biting me. They're not here to stop ticks from biting me at all. They're just there to stop grass seeds. And then you asked me, what shoes do I recommend for a bushwalk? A year ago, I started to wear these low shoes made of quite a thick leather, mainly because of the heat that your feet generate out here in the hot summer. The shorter shoe that's made of softer leather makes my foot work less, and therefore my feet aren't that hot. And then I have a very hard rubber sole, and that stops the myriad thorns and spines from sticking through. And even though this sole has literally been worn to half its width, I still am able to, let me see if I can take out one of these for you. And you'll see now what I'm talking about here. Let me just find something a bit more appropriate. Oh, that wasn't too impressive at all, eh? What a letdown. But anyway, I can't feel anything else. But literally your feet just get full of these things. So a hard rubber sole with a soft, low-cut leather is so far the best boot that I've ever worn in the bush with these gaiters on to stop the thorns from going in your socks. Are they the most comfortable shoes I've ever worn? No. Have they given my feet endless amounts of pain? Yes. But I don't have any holes in my foot, and I don't sweat myself to death, which is a good thing. Right. Now, we are looking for a big male leopard that was walking in this area. We've got some tracks of him a little bit further back. I haven't shared it with you because we've actually lost the tracks and we are walking up and down. And while we do that, I can't remember why we link into James, but you're absolutely going through to James at the moment. He's got an update on something exciting for you. Catch you later.
But I can't zoom in.
There's a little bird there, everybody. We can't zoom into. It's a rattling testicular. And it was just calling. We've been driving up and down the same drainage line and next to the road called Nyala Road North. We've heard a couple of birds alarm calling. I haven't seen any tracks of those lions though, so I'm really not sure where they've gone. We're going to do one little foray further up here, and just where the road cuts up towards Bushvelshoek Dam, we'll continue north in the drainage. We'll just have a quick look there. They had a kill there a little while back, and if we don't come up with anything, what I'm going to do is probably leave the area. We'll go and look for the rest of the pride perhaps, but I think it is beholden on us to perhaps give them a little bit of a rest, those cubs and their mother, if we can't find them relatively easily. So, I mean, we've done some pretty heavy off-roading while you've been away into the area where she walked this morning, but unfortunately she just isn't there. So we're going to do one more little trot up here. Let's have a look. So come with me. It's never a bad thing that they have a little bit of time off. I mean, they had a pretty heavy vehicle day yesterday.
So we've made our way to the waterhole and we've just been sitting here quietly enjoying Mr. Hippopotamus's company. And this is one of the few bits of water left. There we go, nose up, quick breath, nose down. And they can hold their breath for about 5 minutes. Oh, and he's going all the way under. And back up. And they are incredible creatures. Now, they actually can't swim. So even when a hippo goes all the way under the water, what he's doing is running along the bottom. Now, this is difficult to see with most of them submerged. It's either a young bull or a very old bull. Now, if there was any bodies of water that were deep enough to still hold lots of females, then the dominant bull would be there. So this is either an old man or a young man. An old man who's been pushed out of the water where all the females are, or a young bull who's not quite strong enough to challenge. But the more interesting thing we noticed while we were sitting quietly here is the exact same hyena we saw on the sunrise safari. Blind in one eye, and there we go, you can see that left blind eye, and just chilling in the shade. And that hyena has definitely found some food since we last saw it, and is now a very rotund hyena. Yes, I'm talking about you, fatty. Looking very relaxed, nice cool spot next to the water. Now, oh, there we go, look at that, that hyena has doubled in size since we last saw it. Now, what I think probably has happened here is that hyenas are very clever. They're definitely the smartest out of the carnivores. that we get out here. So a hyena who's managed to steal a carcass or kill an animal when the rest of the clan aren't around and there's a body of water just like this, they will actually put the carcass under the water so other hyenas can't sniff it out, and then they'll remember which puddle or pan of water they put it in, and then they'll go back to that exact spot, take out that meat from under the water and feast upon it. Right, very, very relaxed looking hyena at the moment. Nice full belly, big pan of water to drink, a hippo to laugh at. If you were a hyena, what more could you ask for? Now, as we said, we didn't think this was part of the Djuma clan when we saw it on the Sunrise Safari, and now seeing it this far west in Arathusa, I mean, that hyena has walked probably 7 kilometers or 8 kilometers since where we last saw it this morning. Now, hyenas are the great wanderers of the African night and early morning, and it's nothing for a hyena to patrol 20, 25 kilometers in an evening, even longer sometimes. So it's likely that this hyena is part of the Elephant Plains and Sibambili clan, the competition to the Djuma clan. Crossed back legs, very comfy hyena. Now we're going to let that hyena continue to snooze and continue on our adventures through the African bush on a live safari. So bye-bye to the sleepy hyena. The lonely hippo. Now if you're a hippo and you've only got a hyena for company, you must have done something wrong. So the waterhole was a success. Now let's see what other successes we can have on this incredibly beautiful sunset safari here in magnificent South Africa. Of course, remember, if you would like to ask us a question, if there are any new viewers out there, hashtag SafariLIVE on Twitter, or pop us an email to questions@wildearth.tv. We would love to hear from you, even if you don't have a question, even if you have a comment for us. Tell us where you're watching from in the world. I think it'd be quite fun. Let's do that. So everyone out there, let's do it. Keep it on Twitter, keep it easy. Just let us know where you are in the world. Just use the hashtag SafariLIVE and what country you're from, and we'll see how many different countries are watching SafariLIVE on this spectacular sunset safari. I'd love to know that. It'd be absolutely fascinating to me to find out how many different people and how many different countries are watching SafariLIVE today. So I think we're going to make our way back towards Djuma. The rest of that Nkahuma pride and those lions have to be somewhere. So maybe we'll go give James a hand and see if we can help him find some lions. Hi, Courtney. Courtney is in the Lone Star State, Texas. And Courtney is wondering, what sort of career might I have had if I wasn't a safari guide? Oh, well, Courtney, I don't think there was pretty much any doubt. So for those of you who might be a bit new to SafariLIVE, I'll just give you a quick little rundown about me, where I'm from and what I've done. So I was fortunate enough to be born to a bush mad family. Well, at least one bush-mad person, whoopsie, originally, my dad. And for our early years, we lived on our family game farm in KwaZulu-Natal, which is in South Africa. And then when I was about, I think it was about 6 or 7 years old, my dad got involved in forming of now quite a famous safari reserve called Pinda Private Game Reserve. So I was there for the reintroduction of lion and elephant and all that into an area where they'd been removed by people many years before. So I grew up in a Big 5 game reserve there, and then once my dad was finished with that project, he decided to set his sights north. And one of his favorite countries in all his travels as a university student and going on camping trips and whatnot was Botswana, and more particular the Okavango Delta. And then we moved up there, and my dad started a company called Kondo Safaris, and we had the most amazing places that we were able to grow up in. Oh, I forgot, when we were living at Pinda, we actually had a teacher who lived in the bush with us. So we didn't go to school, we had a teacher who lived, and she only taught my brother and myself. And so I was very lucky. From an early age, I've spent time with some of the best safari guides, best trackers, most knowledgeable scientists in Africa. So it was a really big privilege. And I did attempt university very unsuccessfully. So I finished high school and I went off and I started studying law. Let's just say that lasted about 4 months until I decided, no, this was a very bad idea. So I went traveling for a bit, I went overseas, and after a couple of months in Europe, I decided, you know, it's very pretty. There's lots of beautiful art, wonderful architecture, pretty ladies, but there's no elephants, lions, or leopards. So I moved back and went back up into Africa, and I ended up working in Zambia, opening up areas and around Lake Kariba and in the northern Kafue. Then I went back to work for my dad. Now, after running concessions, and our concession is an area of wildlife land that you rent from the government for a yearly fee. So I was running concessions in Zambia at quite a young age, but we were very rustic in those days. And then I went back to work for my dad. So my dad said, no, if you come back to work for me, you can't just sort of go in as safari guide or lodge manager because you're the boss's son. You start at the bottom. So my first job working for my father, after having quite a serious job before that, was a baboon minder. Now, if you're not sure what a baboon minder is, I don't blame you. It's probably not something you know unless you've grown up in the wilds of Africa. So I got paid at the equivalent of then about $25 a month to chase baboons out of camp so they didn't steal food out of the kitchens or break stuff around the lodges. So yeah, that was my first job. And of course through there, after that, I've worked as a tracker, a safari guide, lodge manager, concession manager, and lots of different things. And after being in Botswana for quite a while, working with my dad and some other incredible people, I decided it was time to go see how the other side operates, you know. And I moved down to South Africa again, and I started working at quite a famous safari lodge called Singita, which means miracle in Shangaan, which is about 5 or 6 kilometers to the south of us where we are now. After Singita, I worked there for a couple of years and I took a gap. Again, I went traveling, and then when I came back, I worked at Londolozi Private Game Reserve, where I met James Hendry. And that was 10 years ago. Sure, long. Ooh, we're getting old. And so I met James Hendry there, and then we both left Londolozi around the same time. I went up to southern Tanzania, where I opened up a concession and ran walking safaris in the Selous Game Reserve. It was an incredibly beautiful part of the world. And then after leaving Tanzania, and I started private guiding, so guiding very small groups of people all over Africa, and in between doing that, consulting to different safari companies. And then I ended up getting the opportunity to live in a Gabonese rainforest, consulting on the development of the first luxury ecotourism in Gabon, on the beach where the hippos go surfing. But I'll tell you more about that a little later, because James has found an animal that's even taller than Brian.
It's a giraffe, astoundingly, and it's sitting there. It's not the same giraffe we started with, in case you thought that we were just rehashing old stories. Oh no, it is a new giraffe that is sitting there south of the Buffelshoek cut line. We have given up on the lions. I'm going to give them their privacy, and we'll just see if when they next pop out onto a road or their tracks pop out. I think they're probably in that thick bush between Hyena Road and the dam. Anyway, there is a lovely giraffe, and as Eggsy zooms out, just look at the beautiful colors. They're so subtle at this time of the year, and you can see the sky is, well, I hate to use the old Simon and Garfunkel song, a hazy shade of winter, but it is rather a hazy shade of winter. It's not quite blue, there's a bit of grey in it there. Now, I have something that I want to do. I'm not going to stab anyone. What I'm going to do is cut a piece of this Dicrostachus bush for Eggsy to eat, because Eggsy's looking a bit thin since he left Cape Town. All those fancy restaurants have been replaced, of course, by the wholesome cooking of Amanda. And, you know, he's not eating lobster thermidor on a daily basis. I have stopped in a particularly stupid place because, well, this Dicrostachus bush is now spiking me in a place that one should never be spiked. Okay, right. Let's have a look here. Of course, one should keep an eye open for lions if one is lurking around where lions once were. Now, we watched an elephant bull devour this thing earlier on. And in the same manner as they do with the combretum bushes and that they do with many of the other bushes, they eat away the outer bark and then sort of spit that out, and then they chew the inner bark. And what I want to do is taste this one. I've never tasted this one before, so we're going to taste it, and we're going to give it to Eggsy. We'll probably give it to Eggsy first, just in case it's poisonous, and if he dies, well, then we won't eat it, will we? There you are, Eggsy. Put it in your mouth. Come on. What do we think?
Not bad.
I'm just going to give it 10 seconds before, in case the poison kicks in.
Should I swallow it?
If you want to swallow it, he wants to swallow it now.
No.
No, it's actually quite similar tasting to the acacias. It's not bad. It's quite a good sort of chewing gum substitute, the moist bits. Do you want some more? He's looking very happy now. Is it better than lobster thermidor?
I don't even know what lobster thermidor is.
Nor do I. I've just heard it mentioned before. Eggsy says he doesn't know what lobster thermidor is. Not bad. I don't think that's bad at all. It's a bit sort of carroty, with a bit of sugar. Bit of wood. But it is a distinctive taste, the sap. And I'm sure it's because of that taste that the elephant's eating it. And I'm also sure that it's the same substance that's in the acacia trees. That's actually not bad. Still not as good as the red thorn, that's definitely the best. You see how skillfully I used my knife there, Eggsy. Here we are. All right, everybody, let me plug myself back in so that Louise might shout at me, and let us continue. I was hoping those elephants that did that to that tree would be around here still, but they don't seem to be. So what we will do is head towards Hyena Road, where we found some buffalo just a little bit earlier. We didn't stop for them because we were hoping to get to the lions. Well, let's go around there now, and maybe some further elephants will join us. Quite nice, Eggsy. Mine's run out of flavour. I'm going to throw it away. It's always a good idea to use the cameraman as some kind of taster in case you're about to poison yourself. Hello, Dave Woods? Dave Woods? Oh, like eBay. Bay Woods. Hello, Bay Woods. You're wondering about aggression in elephants and hippos. And you want to know which one is more aggressive. Bay Woods, and this is a discussion I have relatively often because it's very important to me. There's some kudu in there. So we're just going to go back a little bit. Ah, can you see them there, Eggsy? Now, apparently Bay Woods is a retirement community. Let me just actually sneak forward. I'm going to roll forward while I discuss this. Bay Woods, a retirement community. It's really very special that you're all watching us. Thank you for giving us of your time, and thank you especially for asking us a question. Now, what you will find is that no animal out here is aggressive by nature. The only animal I know of that is aggressive by nature is Eggsy the human being. Well done. He didn't actually answer that. I'm just giving him the benefit of the doubt. Elephants can become threatened, at which point they become aggressive, at which point they become dangerous. All of the animals out here are potentially dangerous, but they are not dangerous inherently. And a hippopotamus, because it lives in the water and is so dependent on the water, will become aggressive or angry and therefore dangerous much more readily than any of the other animals will, because it's so dependent on the water. It has to have that water to live in. If you get between it and the water, or it feels like you might be trying to separate it from that safety, from the coolth that it absolutely needs to survive, then they become very upset very fast. And so essentially, I guess the short answer would be hippopotamus. The long answer is yes, hippo, because they are so much more easily threatened than elephants, for example. Thank you, Bay Woods. Nice to hear from you all. Please tell us where Bay Woods is. I'm assuming, I'm going to have a guess here, that it's in Florida. Is it? If it isn't, I'm sorry. Now, that kudu is very clearly had her attention arrested by something. Ah, Baywood is nowhere near Florida. It's in Annapolis. Sorry about that. I'm not sure why I thought it was in Florida. You can see she's staring off towards the west. She's not alarmed, though. If she was alarmed, she'd make that very loud, very low-frequency alarm bark. That's what it sounds like. All right, let's go continue down the way here and see if we can't pick up maybe some elephants. Maybe whatever it is she's looking at. She could be looking at elephants like that. She would look at them like that. And she wouldn't alarm call at them because she wouldn't be afraid of them at all. Just ease our way into this drainage line here. It's possible that those lions could have come into this drainage here and then popped out in the north, but I think she'd be alarm calling at them. I'm pretty sure she'd be making that infrasonic sort of alarm bark. Anyway, let's just check our tires. Eggsy, would you check the two on that side? Do they look all right to you?
Yep.
Good. He says they look fine, everyone. It's a relief. Now, the buffalo were just down here. Let's go and have a look at them. We've been seeing very few buffalo of late. Not really sure why that should be the case. But to say that maybe they've been up in Buffelshoek looking for water there. But as I say that, you know, they used to hang around the Pansweerteller Pan and Gallego Pan a lot. That is precisely the kind of drainage system area where the lions have been keeping their cubs, or certainly until very recently. And I wonder if their presence hasn't driven the buffalo somewhere else, perhaps onto Buffelshoek or just into the bushes. You know, as soon as it gets vaguely dark, they get up and move. Anyway, there were some just down there. They are Eggsy. They're that side this time. They've moved. It's not going to be the best buffalo sighting we've ever had, but it is a buffalo sighting, nevertheless. So unlikely that the lions are through there. A group of young bulls, not young bulls, a group of old bulls, and they've just got up when we found them. They were lying down, chewing their lunch cud. Now they're going to refill the rumen, so that when night falls, they may lie together in this protective sort of arrangement and re-chew their supper. That's how it is if you're a ruminant. Now in summer we wouldn't see them at all, you know. We wouldn't have any view of them. They would be hidden entirely by the green bushes there. But now, because it is winter, we're able to see them across the valley. I'm not sure if these were the same ones that came down the way that we saw earlier on. There might be. Also, I can hear some elephants moving. Just listen for a little while. Do you hear that? I don't know if you can hear. In the way distant, yeah, I can see an. No, I can't. Thought I could see an elephant. It's just some cracking of bushes. Let's move on a little bit down the road here. Oof. This sounds absolutely delicious. Thank you, Sandy. You've explained to me what lobster thermidor is, and as your explanation finished, that buffalo looked up in immense jealousy at the thought of eating lobster thermidor instead of the grass that he is having to eat. Sorry, old fella. Lobster thermidor, for those of you who don't know, thank you, Sandy, is boiled lobster or steamed lobster in a rich, cheesy sauce that is stuffed back into the shell and served. I think the cheesy sauce has got brandy in it, cream sauce with brandy, sorry, and served with a brown cheese crust. Is that correct? Oh, an oven-browned cheese crust. Oh, Louise can hardly talk to me. She's salivating so much. I don't blame her. Doesn't that sound nice, Eggsy? Yeah. Would you rather have that than Dicrostachys cinerea in a bark? Oh, it's a close thing for Eggsy, everyone. He is from Cape Town, so we won't hold that against him. As Basil Fawlty said of Manuel, please excuse him, he is from Barcelona. So we say about Eggsy. We're on a hyena road, Louise. Louise is wondering what road we're on. Isn't that nice? All right, let's carry on down the road here before these buffalo get really cross with me talking about lobster thermidor. Let's carry on. Ephraim is saying something on the radio. Oh, here we got more here. There we are. Yeah, this is much better. Sorry, I am just listening to the radio to find out what Ephraim has found. It's a pangolin, everyone, but it's on Torchwood, so we can't go there and look. Isn't that nice? They found a pangolin on Torchwood. Now, a pangolin, for those of you who don't know, I know that it's not really appropriate to talk about another animal while I'm looking at one specific one, but a pangolin is so special, and I'm going to. It looks like a sort of an armadillo type thing, and it's very rare, and they're just spectacular to look at. So I'm just going to show you a picture, but unfortunately we can't go down there because it's on Torchwood. which is the reserve to the east of us, in case you were wondering. Right, Eggsy, let's just have a quick look at the pangolin here. These beefies don't seem to be going anywhere at all. There are a number of different species of pangolin. Look at these very strange creatures, but this is the one that we've got there. It's called a ground pangolin, and all of these scales are keratin in the same way that your nail or a rhino horn is keratin. Isn't that nice? Spectacular little thing, and it folds itself into a defensive ball. Right, I think we'll probably sit with these buffalo for a little bit longer, and then we'll press on and see what else we can see. While we do that, let's head across to Stefan Winterboer. He is on foot, of course, and will have something fascinating to tell you.
You know, the nice thing is that Brent's not the only one who can't get my name and surname right. I think I've been practicing for the last almost 40 years and I still can't get my pronunciation right. What we've got here is something that we don't show too often on SafariLIVE or on Wild Earth, and that's because there's really not too many of them around. And as you can see, there's this vast area. I will move quickly from one side of it to another. From here, that leg, here, all the way to here is one circular discolored patch, and then you'll notice some dung here and here, and not that one, that's elephant, but there on that side, nothing more. All right, and this is a rhino's latrine site. This is what rhino cannot resist using. They really enjoy using these. Basically what it is, it's a communal toilet. Males will come in and they will kick their dung, and they use it as a type of fence post, getting the smell of their dung on their feet. And then when they walk through their territory, as they're walking through their territory, they're putting these nice smelly footprints all over the place. Rhinos, using their fantastic sense of smell, can determine between different individuals and also different sexes and the maturity thereof just by the smell of that particular scent on their feet. Female rhino, they don't kick their dung, but they also cannot resist visiting these latrine sites, and it's just so nice to see that you know, we have these latrine sites still on. I don't know for how long we'll be able to see rhinos still in our lifetime, or even our children for that matter of fact. In particular in the wild, they are getting rarer and rarer. With an interesting bit of trivia the other day about the Sumatran rhino, now extinct in the wild because of poaching and the trade in rhino horn. So wherever you are in the world, please do not buy rhino horn product. You might as well just eat your fingernail clippings for all that it'll do for you, because that's all it is. It's just a big fingernail, and instead of growing on the end of their hands, it grows on the end of their nose. Now, why is it black when I will compare it to a piece of elephant dung? And if you just give me, and of course when you look for a piece of elephant dung, hold on one second. All the sprinting that I do with James, paying off. All right. So why is a piece of elephant dung brown and a piece of rhino dung black? Quite simply, rhinos, they eat a lot of grass, white rhinos at least anyway, and the silica in their dung oxidizes black. Elephant don't eat as much grass. They still eat a lot of grass, but they don't eat as much, and so they don't get that oxidation, and so what you get is a much lighter colored dung. Then you also have the presence of sticks in an elephant dung. That's a chewed up stick, and you absolutely won't have sticks in white rhino dung. You'll just have chewed up grass. As you see, no sticks present, just chewed up grass. And if it was a black rhino, it would be similar colored to the elephant, but instead of there being some grass as in the elephant, not this one because it's a dry season, but there will be some grass. It's a piece of grass. With a black rhino, there'll just be sticks, and small little sticks. Let me show you. I'm going to cut a piece of stick into a black rhino sized chunk. You have a 45-degree angle and it'll basically look like that. As you can see there with that very angled tip, that'll tell you that it's a black rhino. Quite interesting, eh? Something that we don't really get to see a lot of here. Some noises that, excuse my distraction here, but there were some noises coming from behind us somewhere. Didn't sound like anything particularly dangerous, it just sounded quite big. Right, but it is open here, so it's not too much of a problem. Anyway, that is a rhino latrine site, or a midden as it's called. Oh, excuse my blank stare there while I was just busy listening to quite an interesting question that Scotty Dog, all the way from Durban, I think, has asked me. Scotty Dog wanted to ask why we don't show on the show these animals, these rhino, why we don't show them, and don't you think that us not naming them will create this impression that we don't care? And that's absolutely not 100% true, Scotty Dog. The reason why we don't show these animals on live TV is because we live and because we have such access, people have such access to this information. People may, and I'm not saying they could, but they may be able to find these animals because of what we are doing on TV. And to be honest with you, we just really are here to entertain you and to inform you of stuff. We're not here to do any sort of meaningful conservation work or anti-conservation work at all. And so we distance ourselves from that. There are many ways that you can interact with these animals, absolutely. It's just through this particular platform that we don't do that. For no other reason than just we do care a lot about these animals, and so we don't want to be seen to be hampering any conservation efforts or any anti-poaching efforts at all. So that's why we don't show these animals live. But anyway, let's carry on going. What else uses a midden? Very interesting. Impala use a midden, and there's an impala midden right there. We can go and have a look at that. Rhinoceros use a midden. We have hyena, they use a midden. Civets use a midden. At the entrance to a lot of mongoose hideouts, they have middens. Is there anything else that you can think of here with a midden? That's probably around about it. Steenbok use middens? No, they don't. They don't use middens. They bury their dung. And this is from impala. There must be an impala herd that lives around here, and this is the size of this midden. And they will not only defecate here, but they will also urinate on these middens. And it gives these middens a wonderful sort of urea smell. Not quite as bad as a dairy would have, but definitely when these middens are properly active, and that is around about the rutting season where these middens just are constantly used, they can produce quite a big stink, I must be honest with you. So now not in use that much, although there is some fresh dung from impala right here. There's nothing too bad. Fresh impala dung sticks to your stick. This is not sticking. There's some old urine there, probably a couple of days old, I would say was the last time that this was used. Alrighty, let's carry on our very interesting amble through this moonscape. Have a look in this tree. We've got a nest. Now, holes in trees are, I'll go there and go and point it out. Holes in trees are hot property. They are very difficult to come by. They are even more difficult to make. And they are very difficult to hold on to because bigger birds will kick you out. Not only bigger birds, but you've got bees, you've got bush babies, you've got snakes, almost anything will use a hole in a tree. But have a look at that hole in the tree right up there. And in particular, have a look at how many claw marks are around the entrance there. I would almost say that this is absolutely in residence. Something is inside there. You can see those claw marks top and bottom. And because it is fresher, the claw marks on the bottom, but there are those holes just above it on the top lip, I would say that a woodpecker is in there. Now, woodpeckers and barbets are the only birds out here that actually make holes or cavity nests. They obviously make it for themselves first, and then they vacate those nests once their babies have fledged, and then that hole for generations, and I'm talking about in a hardwood tree like this that'll stay standing for 5, 10, 15 years, that hole gets used by a succession of birds and animals literally throughout the year, and will be literally hotly contested. You can see rollers at this time of the year will be having massive fights around prime nesting places. Woodpeckers, bush babies will use them quite often. Quite often you find these little primates that we have here, nocturnal primates called bush babies. They have some, and I can see just underneath the primary hole there's actually a secondary hole that looks like it's being formed. Isn't that interesting? Anyway, on our seemingly quest for holes this game drive, we're going to send you over to James, who's got some buffalo to show you.
The same buffalo, everybody, the same buffalo, beautiful buffalo, and the sun just starting to settle now. I must just tell you, while we sit here watching these buffalo, we've been listening to everybody desperately trying to get into the pangolin sighting, and some of them clearly are very confused as to the layout of Biffle's Hook. And then, so there's one person driving, and she said, well, you know, the road forks over here. Somebody confused that with a bad word and said, please don't swear on the radio. Then 4 or 5 of them seem to be trespassing on each other's properties. It's all rather amusing. I'm not going to play it for you live because they may say something nasty to each other. It's all rather funny. It is going on in my ear, so if you start to hear me giggling, you'll know what's happening. There are now, well, there are 4 of these buffalo around us here. There are further 2 down south behind us, and those others have crossed now also towards the west. So we've got a very nice little buffalo sighting going on here. And there's quite a lot of grass. Now that's quite interesting because obviously you know that we're in the midst of the dry season. There isn't a great deal of grass on many parts of this reserve, but if Eggsy zooms out slightly, thank you, Eggsy. Those trees that you can see sticking up there are Terminalia sericea or silver clusterleaf trees. I'm just going to be quiet, just listen quickly. You can just hear a woodpecker. How cool is that? Very nice. So, what I was saying is that the silver clusterleaf means that this is it's a seep line, which means that there is possibly more water underneath the surface than there would be in other areas, and that's why there's a good deal of grass still here for these beefaloes to enjoy. Jennifer, you are a new viewer. It's lovely to have you with us. You say, is this a wildlife sanctuary? It most certainly is a wildlife sanctuary, Jennifer. It is a very large wildlife sanctuary, though. It is 8.5 million acres, or 3.5 million hectares of wildlife sanctuary. It's called the Kruger National Park. We're on a little piece of it on the western fringes called Djuma, and Brent was just earlier on another little piece called Arethusa. We also traverse a property to the east called Cheetah Plains, and all 3 of those are part of what we call the Sabi Sand, which is a collection of private farms that are attached to the Kruger National Park. There are no physical boundaries between us and the Kruger. In fact, there are no physical boundaries between us and quite a lot of Mozambique to the east of us, but there is a fence around the entire area. And so, yes, it's a wildlife sanctuary, but perhaps not in the way that you were thinking. I'm not sure. It's what we would call a national park, a very big national park. Thank you for joining us, and please stay with us, Jennifer. Let's have another look at these buffalo. The light's starting to get quite pretty on them as the sun begins to set. There we are. You can hear that woodpecker still. Tick, 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 tick. They're getting quite close now. And they're getting close because they're becoming more and more comfortable with us. which is just great. Now, I don't know how many of you enjoy watching buffalo. I'm often given the impression, or under the impression, that they're kind of, well, I'm not sure that they're appreciated as much as they might be, and I wondered if any of you out there perhaps think of them as your favourite. Hashtag SafariLive, questions@wildearth.tv. It'd be good to know if there's anyone in the world out there who sees a buffalo bull and thinks, oh goodness, that's wonderful. I'm glad we're not with the lion cubs. I think they're quite splendid. They're not quite as splendid as lion cubs, though. Eggsy, here comes one, looking, grazing morosely towards us behind this tree. They do look slightly morose, I must say. You can just see his horn poking out there. That's very artistic, Eggsy. It's the Cape Town coming out on you again. Let me move a little bit. No, here he comes. Is he coming? There we are, while the woodpecker pecks away. We're going to spend another 3 or 4 minutes here, and then we're going to press on and see what else we can find. Head down the great valley of the Mrwamati drainage, where I suspect there might be some elephants. There might even be the rest of the Nkahuma pride. Alrighty, let's head across to Brent Leo Smith. I believe he has a tragelaphid to show you.
Here we go with a nice little family group of kudu, and that female busy picking the leaves of a leadwood tree. Quite a few of them through here. I'm just going to move forward a little, and let's say there's a young male. Doesn't quite have the biggest horns yet. Incredibly exquisite animals, kudu. One of our bigger antelope species we get here in the Sabi Sands. They weigh up to about 300, 350 pounds. There's a little one. What are you eating? Ah, a red thorn, an acacia. Now, out of all our browsing species, they're probably going to do the best in the drought, apart from giraffe, of course. Now, the reason for this is that they are taller than the nyala and the bushbuck, so they have access to food that some of the other browsing species might not be able to get, just from a lack of height. Here comes the rest of the family group. Look at that. So we asked a little bit earlier for you guys to let us know where in the world you are watching from. So we're going to start going through some of that. We've got, of course, the US of A with 15 different states watching this evening. We have Canada and we have South Africa, the first 3 of our list of countries where people are enjoying the African bushveld live from the comfort of their own homes or in the office being naughty. Oh, there we go. Australia as well. Kuwait. Have you heard one of Kuwait? Kuwait's a nice new one. And of course, England. Oh, there we go. Another 3. Japan, Thailand, and Spain. And then the last 3, Hungary, Finland, and Germany, yes. What a diverse bunch of viewers you guys are. Thanks very much for sending in where you guys are watching from. We really do love to know whereabouts in the world you might be. And it is amazing. So how many was that? That was 12 countries? 12 different countries are joining us in the African bush for a live safari. And some beautiful backlit kudu moving through a shot at the moment. Now, I wonder where the Nkahuma Pride could have disappeared to. We're in the general area that James has been checking, and we're going to give him a hand, see if we can't rub some killer bee luck into the situation. Now, another interesting thing is that this evening is full moon, and I didn't even realize that there's a very dangerous creature on the back of my vehicle. So the whole SafariLIVE camp has to beware. It's the were-thumb. Oh my goodness, isn't it a scary beast? The were-thumb. You know, I'm glad I don't live in the DRC. Who knows what the were-thumb is going to get up to on the full moon? Oh, Jane, hi. It's a bit of a sad story. I shouldn't laugh too much. So we have two very different sets of cubs that we're seeing at the moment. We have the Nkahuma cubs, who are your picture-perfect postcard lion cubs. You could not get a fluffier, more pretty little lion cub than the Nkahuma cubs. And then on the other end of the spectrum, we've got not such good-looking Styx cubs. And Jane's wondering why. What's the difference? So it looks like the Styx cubs have a bout of mange. Now, fortunately, I think it's Dendrodrex mite. So mange is caused by a little arachnid, a mite. And I think they've got the least bad out of the two manges that we get out here. So hopefully they will make a full recovery at some point. So it doesn't look like it's sarcoptic mange. Sarcoptic mange is the worst one. That's where that little mite actually buries itself in their skin. And we would be noticing a lot of sort of a bit more scaling, although it could be, I'm not 100% sure yet. And there's no way to tell without actually catching them, and we don't want to do that. So we will probably see a little bit more open wounds and sort of pus blisters and more scaling of the skin if it was sarcoptic mange. So I'm hoping it's I can't remember now. Dendrex. Well, Dendrex is the other form of mange that's reasonably common out here. Now, animals can recover from it quite quickly, and a couple of good meals might help them. But so far, for me, the Styx, apart from looking absolutely horrible, they don't look in the worst condition. So, although mange can affect big cats and other animals quite badly, and can cause loss of appetite and things like that, which can lead to death. But fingers crossed that those Styx cubs make a full recovery. Yes, but it is such a stark difference, Styx and the Nkahuma cubs. Demodectic mage. Thank you, Final Control. Hello, hello, and we're on fresh tracks of Nkahuma Pride and cubs. And these look really good. I just need to check if anyone's driven this road today. It's a bit hard, so I can't unfortunately show them to you just yet. Has anyone driven central from Drakensberg towards Nyala Road North this afternoon? Tracks of Nkahuma and cubs heading west along Central Road. I'm following up. So this looks like the rest of the 4 females that weren't seen this morning and the other 5 cubs. And they've walked down here. So we're going to see where they go. They look quite nice and fresh. Brian, eyes up. I'm going to keep my eyes on the road. So I do, oh yeah, they're still there. Apologize if I'm hanging off the side of the vehicle. It's because I'm trying to make sure we don't miss where those tracks go. So hopefully we can find the Nkuhuma Pride before the end of the Sunset Safari. And Brian has got incredible spotting eyes, so I don't need to worry about looking around. I can concentrate on following the tracks, and Brian can help me spot. And cameraman presenter is definitely a team, and we would be nowhere without our incredible cameraman out here. Oh, look at them. They basically marched down the whole road here. They took it over. It's a lion highway. Look like they might have gone off there. Let's just have a look over the bump. Nope, still got tracks here. Looks like they went down there towards the Nyala Road South. Oh, is that a lion lying there? No, that's an piece of elephant dung. Just want to double check. So it doesn't look like they went this way. Looks like they've cut into the thicket here. I just want to go have a look from Nyala Road South quickly. And we get onto that high ground and look down into the river system. So while we try to find these lions, Alexander, hi, who's in Canada, he says, how does someone like me who lives in Canada or elsewhere out, not in Africa, get into this sort of line of work? Well, there's a couple of different options. You can sign up on a game ranging course or a cameraman's course and see an intern at different places to try and get placement. And I think that's the best way for me, is go do the course and stuff and then be keen, offer yourself as an intern, and quite often as much as you can learn out of books, etc., there's no substitute for actual experience. And I mean, Brian is a perfect example. Brian, how much formal camel training do you have?
I don't have any.
There we go. And he's one of the best, he actually, if not one of the best live cameramen in the world when it comes to wildlife. And we're very lucky. So Brian was lucky enough, he got offered the opportunity to learn on the job, and that's what he did. Now, of course, it's a little bit easier for us out here in Africa, but where there's a will, there's a way, and how your path leads you to end up in the African bush, well, that's your story to tell. Okay, I'm just going to sit up a bit higher so I can see. Is that a vulture? And where are you going? Okay, so I need to concentrate on finding us some lions before the end of the Sunset Safari, as that vulture flies over. I can't see any other vultures, so it might have been confused. So while we try to figure out exactly where the Nkuhuma Pride's gone, let's go back to Steph, who's marching about somewhere.
How exciting is that? Fresh lion tracks with cubs, yes, and it's something that Brent absolutely enjoys. We've actually got some kudu here. We've bumped into some kudu. What we're going to try and do is get you a little bit closer. What we're going to try and do is use this big green tree here as a cover. So let's carry on going. Come with me. What we're going to try and do, there you go, through the hole. You got the whole family there. That is a baby that you're looking at there. Yeah. Lifting the tails. Another one. Let's see if we can get them crossing this little divide here. It's quite a big herd of kudu. I would say probably around about 8 to 10 individuals. Now they have seen me, so what I'm going to try and do is not look at them directly. That's the key with these animals, to not look like you're sneaking. So I'm going to walk quite boldly in the open, and then we are going to turn, right here, VM, you can stand in this gap here. And I'm still not going to look at them. I'm just going to, out the corner of my eye, and then you'll see, there you go, old female there. We're probably standing about 50 yards or so from them at the moment. We're feeling secure in the bush. No male kudus with them. Female kudu herds, well, females are always in herds. I've never seen female kudu on their own. And with the babies that you normally have in the herd, they actually generate a lot of interest from predators, and male kudu know this and stay quite far away from females. They are called the ghosts of the bush, and you can see why. There's probably 8 or 9 animals in there weighing on average, let's say 200 pounds, and we can only just see 1 or 2 of them flitting through the bush, exactly the same color as the bush. Just see them there, same color, just in the gap there. VM's doing a fantastic job. They're actually almost invisible to us. You can see there's some more coming now from your right into that gap, stopping and starting. There's one now, you can just see that trumpet-shaped ear. That is a kudu, everybody. That dark patch there, just right off center. Here comes an old female right into the open here. You can see she knows exactly who we are. That white milk moustache. Oh, beautiful. Huge trumpet-shaped ears, catching every single sound here. She looks like she's just seen us for the first time, actually. Let's see what she does. The key would be looking at her tail. Ah, there we go. Shows you how much she cares about us. Full-grown kudu cow. 200 pounds, maybe 250 pounds at her heaviest. And pregnant at the moment. They will be having their babies in January. January, February is where the kudu have their babies. And one of the largest antelope that we find out here, you don't find them much bigger than this. You find animals of the same size, about waterbuck and wildebeest and zebra in actual fact, are antelope that are all around about the same size as a kudu. And perfect lion food. Lions are supremely developed to hunt kudu, or anything actually in a prey range between 100 pounds and about, let's call it an even, 50 and 300 kilograms. So 100 pounds to 600 pounds roughly. That's what a single lion is geared to hunt. And these kudu do form a lovely part of lions' dinners. But now on that macabre note, we're going to leave this beautiful herd of kudu on its own, not running away from us anymore, very, very calm in this bush just on the other side of this little ravine. And they are flitting off, going to go and get some dinner. They'll be doing a lot of feeding now at night time. With the drought now, there's not that many leaves, and the leaves that are here are not that nutritious. And so you find a lot of kudus are feeding now into the dark. And we will have a full moon available with us in, I don't know if it's tonight or it was last night, but we are going to have a lot of light for the first part of this evening. Now there's also a giraffe here. I want to see if we can get to see him. So come with me. Let's see if we can see this giraffe. Yeah, I can see him through the trees over there. He's standing a bit far away from us, but we should be able to get a nice view. can just get him through the trees in actual fact. 2 giraffe. No, 1 giraffe and 1 big stick. So there's the giraffe. Also standing in the bushes. He's now actually standing a little bit in the open. Seen us a long time ago. I think he's watching those kudu, catching his attention. See if we can get a little bit closer to him. It is going to be a bit of a nightmare to get down here. How do you think, BM? Do you think you'll be able to walk down here? Yeah. Okay, all right. So let's try get down here. Watch out for that. Oops, good save there, BM. Hopefully you all enjoyed that ride on the way down the side of this little ravine. And now for the march back up again. There you can see what looks to be a female giraffe. And the only way they will really be able to tell is by zooming in on the horn tips. From here, it's obvious that I can't see onto her belly, but I'm using the horn tips as a reference. Old horn tips are males, tufted horn tips are females. But at this distance, it's also difficult to say. I would almost say that because they're so delicate and they don't have that robust nature that a full-grown male giraffe would have, that this is a full-grown female giraffe. Now I'm busy using my binoculars and I can absolutely confirm with you that that is a full-grown, in pretty good condition, female giraffe. She is beautiful. There you can definitely see that. Quite delicate horn, definitely not used for sparring or neck sparring that the males do. And so she has no use for big horny skulls and bony protrusions on the front of her head. Let's see if we can get a bit closer to her. She's just drifting off into the twilight here. Now she is moving, but we should be able to see her here. And similar to those kudu, what you don't want to do with giraffe is approach them directly. They don't enjoy that. You want to approach them at a bit of an angle. And what we'll do is we'll see if we can get into the open here and give you a quick look at her. It's going to take us probably another 20 seconds to be in a prime spot. Let's see here. Here we go. Nice silhouette through the trees. That's probably about the best that we'll get. It's a little bit open, a little bit further to the left or right. But definitely enough for us to see those very delicate horns. There we go. All right, so we are going to link over to, I think, Brent. Excuse me. I don't know who we're going to link over to, but we're going to be linking over to one of the guides for an update. Oh, James, excuse me. You're going to be going over to James for an update quickly, and we'll catch up with you in a little bit.
Hello everybody. We have just come down into the drainage system here. I was giggling because of our new buffer thing with that rather cross-sounding elephant. And I suspect it'll change in the next little while, but it's a nice little experiment that we're doing. Now, Brent Leo Smith has come into this area, and he has managed to find some tracks of the Pride, so we're just going to help him out around here. I think that lioness and the rest of the Pride killed somewhere in here during the course of last night, and they ate, and then she went back to the littlest cubs, and because they're just not quite old enough to be moving with the Pride. That will happen very soon, but at the moment they're not quite there yet. Ooh, Eggsy. In this tree is a white-browed scrub robin, and you can hear it going. Can you hear it? I can't see it. Yes, I can. I can see it. I'm going to move forward. Everyone, if we can get this bird making this call, I will be so excited. Okay, Eggsy, can you see it? Have you got it? That is remarkable. Are you sure you've got it? Are you at max zoom? It's there. Okay, we can see it with the naked eye. We're just going to... There he is. Look. Unfortunately, not his beak. Let me move a little bit forward. Eggsy, don't zoom out. I'm just going to sneak slightly forward. There. Perfect. Oh, put your head down. There he is. That's the white-browed scrub robin giving his evening call. Now, he does this sometimes as an alarm, and sometimes just when the sun goes down, before he does one or two more. Oh. He didn't like that. He didn't like that very much. We might try it again. That's me, everyone, obviously, not the bird. He is a magnificent fellow. We don't get to see them like this, everyone. This is really cool. And it's because they're in such thick trees like this that we don't get to view them. But I've clearly shut him up. He didn't want to do his churring call while there was a, well, bit of a louder male around. See how he's puffing himself out? Not sure if that's because he thinks he's being observed by another one, or perhaps because it's getting a little bit cold down here in the drainage system. This, of course, is where the katabatic flow will send the cold air as the sun begins to set. And Louise says that she reckons he looks like a brown tennis ball when he's all puffed up. I suppose he does. He's a rather splendid fellow. Eggsy, that is my favourite bird out here. You don't sound amazed, Eggsy.
He's very quiet.
He's very quiet now, that is correct. Alrighty, let's leave him there and we'll go and see if we can find some lions. I think I always say to you that when we do see them, I always say it's so rare to spend any time and look at them. But it is really. Now, we must be careful in these parts to see if we can't see the tracks of the lions. I suspect they killed something in this rather thick block here. And the tracks that Brent is on are on a road that we didn't drive this morning, so I'm not sure where those would have been from. Brent would now like to speak with me on the radio. Brent, Leo Smith, come in.
That's a good one. They lay down and they sort of go southeast towards that bend on Battalier, that where it turns away from the drainage system and heads towards Drakensberg. Quite a bit narrow on it, not too far under there.
So you heard that. He said they're on this road, or the tracks came towards this road. Copy, thanks. I'm in basically nearing that position now. And he reckons that they were heading towards Drakensberger Road up there. So the drainage line goes down that away, and now the road moves or bends slightly away from it, and he said this is where he reckoned that those tracks were coming. So we'll walk, we won't walk, we'll drive very slowly along here and see if we can't see either the tracks or the lions themselves. It's always a bit of a toss-up, Eggsy. You know, you don't know whether to look at our kind viewers in the eye, like I'm doing now, or to look where we're driving. It's simply not possible to do both. Yeah, now this is where he reckoned that they may have popped out. Alice in Ohio, you want to know if Eggsy has a favourite bird. Until very recently, Eggsy couldn't identify a bird. He didn't really know the difference between a chicken and a hornbill. That is not to cast any aspersions on him. I didn't know the difference between a chicken and a hornbill when I moved to the bush. So let's ask him. Eggsy, do you have a favourite bird other than a chicken?
I've got nothing.
You've got nothing?
Nope.
He doesn't know, you see. He will soon, I promise, Alice. Let's ask him. Let's give him a couple of weeks. Yeah. And when he's starting to identify the birds on his own, he'll be able to tell you. Lilac-breasted roller. There we go. Lilac-breasted roller, everybody. Because you confuse it for a kingfisher. That's correct. That's not a bad thing. Eggsy, don't worry. Like I say to you, when I arrived in the bushveld, I could not identify the difference between a bantam hen and a hornbill. Alright, let me concentrate a little bit here, everyone. I'm going to drive up onto Drakensberger Road. I can't see any tracks here. It's quite difficult terrain. Let's go across to Brent and get it from the horse's mouth, as it were, as to where those tracks went.
Exciting times. We know the Nkuhumas are somewhere in this block to the west of us. So I went for a walk into that real big thicket section almost below the sun there. And I don't want to push my luck too much walking at this time of the day, especially in thickets where there are cubs. Now, I'm just going to switch off here. James is coming through from that area, so I let him know where the last tracks looked like they were going to pop out if they carried on walking. But on my walk, I actually found something that, Brian, you'd never seen before. No. So, I don't know, there we go. Look at that. That is a piece of elephant ivory. Quite old, and it's from a fight. So you can see it's a break, and not quite a jagged break. So this is an elephant tusk that's broken. So what we do when we do pick up things like this is we hand it in to the Sabi San. So that's what we're going to do. Just in case someone who's not as honest as us happens upon it while walking. So this is from a natural occurrence. You do find pieces of ivory all over the bush. Well, not all over the bush, but you don't find them that often. You can actually see how porcupine, and it looks like porcupine from the teeth marks, and some other small rodents have chewed on the ivory to get calcium. Judging from the wear, it's probably been sitting out there for a good, probably over 20, 30 years. Now, if you have a look at the side that was sitting to the ground, there you've still got that smooth sort of ivory spot where it was touching the ground. Just have a look. So, not much of it was touching the ground. It was sitting in quite a strange place. So it was sitting like that, and you can see that little section there, completely protected, and it's got that wonderful smooth ivory feel. But the rest of it is worn. So even something like ivory will disintegrate in the bush over time. It takes a lot longer than bone and other things, but it is possible that it will disintegrate. So very, very cool. I must hand that in. And Now, I'm hoping that these Nkuhumas are hunting. It's the right time of the day, and it wouldn't be nice to see the Nkuhuma hunting in the sunset. Beautiful sunset so far this evening. Now, James is heading up towards where I am, so I'm pretty sure that those Nkuhuma lines are no more than a couple of 100 meters from us. And they said it's quite a thick area, lots of guarri thickets, and if they do have cubs, especially as the sun is setting and the lion changes from the timid cat that is scared of people during the day to the dominant nocturnal predator, one must be a little bit cautious. And I saw James. I'm going to have a quick chat with him so we can make our plan on how we're going to continue. Here he comes with Eggsy. He obviously hasn't had any luck with tracks coming out. Ah, maybe he has. There are old tracks there from 2 days ago. Not from today. There we go. Come there, he says. Okay. Come hither, says Hendry. Hello.
There's a lioness. There. Not the lioness itself. The one there. Just a footprint from it. Maybe from her going to feed yesterday?
Maybe. So Jamie and I tracked them through here on Monday.
It's not a fresh one, no?
Not a fresh one. Look what we found.
Oh.
While I was looking for the lions.
A tusk. Giving credence to our theory about your other one.
Very much so.
Yeah.
If you look at this. So we've picked up another piece of tusk. Well, I think it's tusk, but it's actually a fossil now. So it's not a tusk, it's a rock.
Amazing.
But a lot of people think it's a tree. And if we look at this and you look at the wearing on the other tusk, I think it's definitely a fossilized elephant tusk.
Did you track one or two lions last when you came through here with Jamie?
3. There's another track here somewhere.
Because that lioness from today looked very full, like she'd eaten last night.
A vulture came, just one came out of this block earlier, but I don't want to take too much risk in the guarri thickets at this time of the day with little cubs around.
I will go Mamba.
Okay. There were Franklin alarm calling, but right in those little drainage systems, and I wasn't going to stick my head in there. Okay, well, we're going to continue on. So, a while ago, as James is saying, I picked up what I was convinced was a tusk, and a lot of other people have thought it wasn't. They thought it was a piece of a fossilized leadwood. Now, the interesting thing about a fossil, and I've been lucky enough to spend a lot of time with people who know a lot more about fossils than I do. And one of the tricks I got taught is if you do this, you stick your tongue to any old animal, bone or whatnot. If your tongue sticks to it, it's a fossil from the calcification process. If it doesn't, it's not. Oh, look at that sun. Let's just get past the little bush, get you a clear view. As the sun disappears behind the clouds on another exquisite African evening. Now the only thing that could possibly make it more exquisite is if the Nkuhumas could make an appearance. Now what I'm going to do is we're going to sit and watch this incredibly beautiful scene as the sun sinks and use our ears to see if maybe the Nkuhumas slip up and something can tell us where they are. Isn't that just special? Magic hour. How many seconds till it's gone, Brian? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 2.5. Oh no, 1.5. 1 1/4. 1, half, 0. Hey, well done, Brian. You're spot on. Okay, we didn't hear anything of the lions around, but hopefully they might make an appearance. They're definitely, I'm 100% sure they're in this block, but it is quite an interesting block because it's got a lot of little ravines in it and quite a lot of guarri thickets. Now, for example, if we'd found those tracks at sort of 3:30 in the afternoon, I would have felt far more comfortable walking into there, and even if they'd growled at me or seen me, we could have found them like that. This time of the day, a lion is switching modes. It knows as the sun sets, it's becoming the dominant predator. Probably 9 times out of 10 I'd be fine, but the day you stopped really respecting the bush and those little rules and you start taking them for granted is the day the bush catches up with you. And I don't think I'm quite ready for retirement just yet. Okay, so we've just watched something set. Steph's got something that's rising.
Have a look at that. So we did predict it quite right. Tonight is the full moon and it is rising above quarantine clearings. Now it is a bit shaky. It's because the wind is blowing and that was at full max zoom, and we have walked today probably close to about 6 miles, and that was Viam's fatigue coming through there in his arms. But without further ado, let's walk a little bit forward here towards the moon, but there's also a woodpecker that's busy hunting over here, and I want to see if we can see it before it gets too dark. Come along and let's see if we can do it. I think that this woodpecker is either in this fallen down tree, which is just a little bit over my right shoulder, either in that fallen down tree there, or in the marula underneath the moon. So we're just going to take a bit of time to listen. Okay, let's carry on going and then we'll stop and listen again. That's how you hunt down a woodpecker. Not quite as dramatic as hunting down a lion, but nevertheless, probably a bit more colorful. I have a feeling that this woodpecker is on that dead bough. Ah, and we have a new viewer to our show. Travis, welcome to the Wild Earth team. I'll just get a hand signal here. Anyway, Travis, welcome to the Wild Earth team. Sorry, I got distracted over there. I had Herbert going like this to me, which generally means there's something with horns or teeth that want to come and rip my head off. But Travis, welcome aboard. Welcome to the show. You caught us busy looking for a woodpecker while we're giving James and Brent some time to try and track down those lions that they're with. Come through here and let's see if we can get a bit closer to the tree while I answer your actual question was, do I like my job? Now, Travis, I absolutely like my job. I think I like to describe myself as being born to field guide. It was one of these things that came, not quite naturally, but one of these things that came to me out of the blue, and I realized at quite a young age that this is all I really want to do with my life is field guide, and I have been doing it now for about 17 years. I love doing this job. I think this woodpecker has actually flown off here, Viam. What do you think? I did hear the call of a golden-tailed woodpecker answered by a mate off to the right-hand side, but let's get a bit closer. Maybe we're lucky and he's still hanging around, although I think our luck has flown on the wings of a golden-tailed woodpecker. Yes, I don't hear the tapping. There he is. That deet noise you may have heard in the distance is him. Let's carry on going. Maybe we're lucky and we get to see him. quite nice. Oh, there we go. And there's another partner. Okay, got both of them. So we've got them both on that tree, the male and the female. Let's see if we can get a little bit closer. There you go. Golden-tailed woodpecker. Quite a rare sight out here. Brent and I were actually having a chat the other day about how we hear golden-tailed woodpecker, but we don't really see them at all. I think let's try and get a little bit closer and see if we can get you a nice shot of this particular woodpecker. If we don't approach the tree too quickly, there we go, and they're both together. On the same branch, with the moon in the background. So off on the right hand side, there's one that's just flown there. The other one is up there. We're going to have to get a bit closer, I think. Let's see if they come back down to that branch. They may very well have a nest in there. There we go, at the top of the tree here. Not the top, but there we go. Nice work. Now, believe it or not, a woodpecker uses their tongue like a spear. They have a barb on their tongue, and their tongue can extend past the end of their beak. Now, to do that, they need incredibly long muscles attached to their tongue. And they actually have the muscle attachment points of their tongue on their forehead. So their tongue muscles stretch from here, join about here, and then form a big streak down the back of their head, splitting again and coming in underneath the jaw. And they can extend this harpoon-like tongue to spear a grub and then to bring it out of a hole into their mouth. Can you imagine having your tongue attached to the top of your forehead? Just give that some thought. It makes these animals incredibly impressive for me. Oh, they flew off. And that was basically the golden-tailed woodpecker pair that we have living on this side of quarantine. It's good that we got to see them. I'm quite happy. Ooh, what a pleasant part of the evening. Now, back to James, who's got an update on those tracks that he's busy with at the moment.
The update is that we have found no more tracks, everybody, I'm afraid. Sorry about that. I was a little worried that I may have driven over some on that road where I was talking to you last. Behold, Eggsy, a duiker. The duiker is looking at something, not just Eggsy's impressive beard. I was trying to remember while we look at that duiker exactly whose beard Eggsy reminds me of. I don't know if you've seen the series Vikings. Eggsy does not look unlike Ragnar Lothbrok from the series Vikings. He doesn't have quite the same number of muscles. He's got almost the same number of tattoos, though. Don't you, Eggsy? That duiker was looking quite nervously towards the drainage system, but is now moving on at a sedate, dressage-like pace. And we will just also show you from this position the moonrise. That's that big shiny thing in the sky there. Well, that's it. Very nice. You can see it there, just pictured beautifully in between the trees. Hello, Jackie's class in Illinois, the United States. Kids, I'm sorry you're back at school, but at least you're watching Safari Live while you're at school and enjoying it. So welcome back to school. I hope you had a good summer break, and I also hope that you have a great year ahead at school. And just remember, don't believe anybody who says to you that school days are the best days of your life. It will get better, I promise. Come and work at Wild Earth, come and work at Safari Live. Those will be the best days of your life. Fear not. I always, not to cast aspersions on Jackie's class or any other person who happens to be in the very noble position noble profession of teaching. What are those? Oh, they're duikers. Or bushbuck. There's a duiker and a bushbuck. Sorry, I'll get back to that just now. They're eating jackalberries at this jackalberry tree, which I like to visit every day because it's fruiting now. It's not a bushbuck, it's just two duiker. I'm just going to stop here because they do get quite nervous, as you know. I got so excited, everyone, because as we stopped, I thought those look like jackals eating jackalberries. But they aren't, are they, Eggsy? No, Eggsy wasn't confused at all. Let's move a little bit closer. See if he'll let us get any closer. Let me turn the lights off, that might make him a little bit less skittish. Oh, don't worry, you can come back. I promise we won't be here for long. Eggsy, that duck is positively terrified, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, if I saw Ragnar Lothbrok coming towards me in the back of a Land Rover, I'd also be terrified. So those duiker love to eat a bit of fruit. They're the most omnivorous, I believe, of the antelope species that we get here. Right, let's move on. We'll just pop onto the dam wall here. Louise, if you heard clicking, it's because my elbow hit the radio. Sorry about that. Yes, she was deeply confused for 30 seconds. I love this particular spot. It's a log. I just like it because it's of the deep trees. And especially on a hot summer's day, nothing nicer than sitting under a deep shaded jackalberry. With something pleasant to drink, of course. Right, we'll just take a look off the top of the dam wall here. And then we're going to head towards the west along the southern boundary. Now, that is a normal patrol that we like to do, of course, when we know that Karula is south of us. Unfortunately, Karula, well, fortunately for Arethusa, but not so much for us, is on Arethusa, as you saw today. And if you haven't been with us the whole time, Brent had a lovely sighting of Karula and the two cubs on Arethusa. They're fine. She's managed to kill again. She's doing a spectacular job of keeping the impala numbers down. And she really is a quite remarkable leopard. Nope, nothing going on from the top of the dam wall. We'll go down the bottom. And I'll just show you some of what used to be, and it seems it's dried up. Look at this. This was the last remaining water that we had about a week ago. Let me just put my hand in there and see if we can get a little bit of mud. The last time I came past here, we had wild dogs swimming in here. And there's a little bit of moisture, but it's pretty much dry. Yeah. I was hoping to be able to retrieve a little piece for you. But I think I might do myself an injury. It's so clay rich that it hardens. Here we go. This is quite interesting, everyone. Right, there we go. So that is a piece of zebra wood, and it's got in there I suspect quite strongly, on the bottom of an elephant's foot. I reckon one of these spines probably went into the elephant's foot, and he just walked along here, and as he walked through the mud, it was sucked out. Now, whether he did that on purpose or not, I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me to know that elephants did do that on purpose, but they have those very sort of thick calluses at the bottom of their feet, and those calluses will, I mean, I'm sure it hurt a little bit, but it will protect them from these things, and their feet don't feel hard, and they've got those cracks in between them, so I think lion's calling. Most of the way to the moon. They're a long, long way away. So I think he probably decided that this was a good spot to get rid of the fawn. Quite clever, really. And you can see there is some moisture under there, but it's dried out within the last few days. Alrighty then. On we go. That's really interesting. I wonder if that elephant didn't do that on purpose. Didn't surprise me in the slightest. Oh dear, Eggsy, we seem to have come down an illegal route. Now we're stuck. Fear not, everyone. With braveness and fortitude, Eggsy and I will manage to escape. All right, let's go back across to Stefan, the mystic Boer, who is actually the darkness Boer at the moment, because I'm amazed he's still out. Let's go and say goodbye to him.
Yeah, we're not out for too much longer, Brent, don't worry, but thank you for your concern. We just thought that this would be such an epic place to say goodbye to you in, because the moon is rising over my shoulder, or over my head. I don't quite know what BM is looking at the moment, and it's just such a clear moon. I don't know, these winter nights that are nice and crisp without too much dust before the August winds start blowing. They haven't really started just yet. We had a little bit of a wind this afternoon, but not too much. But before the dust gets kicked into the atmosphere too much and makes moon rises red rather than that brilliant white, we thought that we'd say goodbye to you from here. But before I do that, I just want to point out this unbelievable orange wood. Now, I'd forgotten how yellow, or how this orange is actually a better word, how orange the wood of a silver cluster leaf tree is. It's so against the bark on the outside, which is this bark. They have a dark green leaf with a silvery inside, and then who ever thought that they'd have this magnificently colored wood on the inside? Now, for those of you who watched yesterday, you would have noticed that I built a spoon out of a piece of apple leaf. This is a wood that you do not want to build a spoon out of. You can just see how angry these splinters are. Have a look at how sharp that is. I definitely won't be rubbing my lip up and down one of these. But what the traditional use for this particular tree is for implement handles and for fence posts and for struts in the roofs of buildings. It's an incredibly hard piece of wood. You'll notice that even me trying to pull this little piece out here is requiring considerable effort, and one that I'm not really getting that way. You can hear there. A very, very hard, brittle wood that is termite resistant and quite bendy, I must be honest with you, but not, I would say it's yielding, but it's incredibly hard. I mean, I'll put some effort trying to break this. There we go, eventually got it right. You can have a look at that. Beautiful color. It's actually got quite a nice smell as well. Quite hard to say. I would say it smells like a seasoned piece of door frame. And I'm only using reference to that. You know, in a wooden house you get these door frames that smell awesome. I just like smelling door frames. They have a tendency to have a history around them. But anyway, what we're going to do, those hardy-dars, yeah. So there you have some hardy-dar ibis that have just flown off in formation. Travis has just asked me if I get to see my family at all because I work out in the bush. Travis, I do. I go home on weekends, so I get to see my family on weekends. Sometimes I manage a long weekend. I get to leave here on a Thursday afternoon and then I get back on a Monday afternoon, or leave on a Friday and get back on a Tuesday and make it work like that. But yes, I do see my family as often as I'd like, of course. But to work in a place like this, sitting when everybody else on the planet is sitting in rush hour traffic, and we get to, well, rush hour at least at this time of the day, and we get to enjoy these beautiful afternoons out here in the bush. But it's worth it, I think, for now. But anyway, on that note, I'm going to say goodbye from myself, Stefan, and from VM and from Herbert. We've had a wonderful afternoon stroll. We did a lot of kilometers today, tracking up and down, looking for interesting things here in the bush. I'm sure VM's going to enjoy putting his feet up and taking the backpack off. I want to say thank you to all of you for sending through your questions and your comments as usual, and for watching, of course. That's the most important thing. So from us, thank you to the girls in FC. All the best wherever you are on the planet, and see you again soon for another bushwalk.
Unfortunately, the Nkumas didn't come out of that block. I'm quite certain we're going to have some luck with them on the sunrise safari in that area. And I'm very excited to get on those tracks when it's a little bit safer to follow them on foot. And well, nice to know that they're still on the property. They haven't decided to visit somewhere else. And of course, Queen Karula and her 2 cubs should still be on that impala kill tomorrow morning on Arathusa. And you never know what else might be around. And of course, I feel like we need haven't seen Benjamin Button for a while. Benjamin Button is a young elephant. He looks older before his time. So hopefully we'll catch up with his herd. And I'm quite looking forward to actually getting a nice view of old Hole in the Ear, the sometimes naughty elephant bull. But as we come towards the end of the sunset safari, Brian and I have played this game before, but we've got you a little bit earlier than usual to try and make it a bit better. We're going to see how many silhouettes we can get on quarantine. Let us see how many silhouetted animals we can get on quarantine. Brian, it's not looking hopeful, is it? It's not even looking like we might get an impala silhouette at the moment. We can definitely guarantee Marula, Terminalia and Jackalberry silhouettes. There they all are, silhouette away. But not the animal silhouettes we were looking for. Just a quick reminder to everyone, don't forget, I know it's still a long way away, but one mustn't forget that in a mere 11 days, it is Killer Bee Day. And we will be celebrating everything Killer Bee. And hopefully the animals will play along. We're also going to play some Killer Bee games on the 28th of August. It will run both consecutively through the sunrise and sunset safari. Now, apparently we got told that it is also International Bow Tie Day, so I think we might have to find ourselves some bow ties before then. Next town trip, I think I might actually, oh no, I sent my bow tie home. I wasn't thinking. Do you own a bow tie? I don't. Oh, you don't? I only got one this year. I only got a tuxedo this year. Oh, there's always the option. I think that's a very good idea. We could always make a bush bow tie out of natural ingredients from the African bush. I think Steph, with his amazing carving, rope making and other skills, would probably quite easily be able to make a bow tie. Speaking of Steph, there he is, returning home. Should we ask him, Brian? Yeah. I think we should. I think we should ask him if... Here we go. There's Herbie, Steph, and Vim. Steph, on the 28th of August, it's International Bow Tie Day. It's also Killer Bee Day. And we're wondering, do you think you could make a bow tie out of something on Bushwalk?
No, Brent, I'm not playing your sick game.
It was Final Control, not me.
I'll think about it.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, as you see, Steph, Vim and Herbie are nearly home. We're going to do one last peruse of quarantine, looking for hopefully a white-tailed mongoose or something like that. How was your work, sir?
Tell me what you think that smells of. We thought it smells like somewhere at the top of door. I thought it smelled like a door frame.
It smells like pine.
Do you think so?
Yeah.
We're having a debate on what this piece of terminalia smells like. We've just done a closing with this piece of terminalia.
It does almost smell like worked wood, like something that's been through a sawmill.
I don't know, I'm going to throw it on the fire now and see what it smells like with some burning. Anyway,
Yeah.
again, bye-bye again.
Bye.
Bye, wildebeest.
Oh, Vim. The wonderful Vim. And then, of course, the wonderful Herbie to the other side, keeping everyone safe. There we go. Thanks, Herb. We'll see you at the fire just now.
Thanks. Enjoy.
Hi, a Piggledy in North Hollywood. Piggledies, have there been any results on the camera traps we set up? I have. I've been a bit naughty. I've had quite a lot of work to do, and there's about 3,000 different video files to sort through, so I have sorted through some of them, and I will start sharing them shortly. So we have got porcupine, we have genet, civet of the nocturnal creatures, lots of buffalo, lots of elephant, lots of emerald spotted wood doves, lots of impala, lots of general game. But yes, and both have gone in, been dumped, recharged, and I've got both of them ready for when I see a spot. Actually today Brian and I checked 2 different aardvark burrows that were active, and was hoping that we would find one that was in use at the moment and we could pop a camera trap in front of the aardvark burrow. Wouldn't that be amazing? But unfortunately the elephants have actually collapsed the one we were most positive on getting a reaction out of. But thank you very much for joining the Killer Bees, and everyone beware. Well, the ware thumb is out and about a day early, but he's so strong he doesn't need to have full moon to be out prowling. So residents of the DRC better be careful. But while we continue to talk nonsense, let's go back to James so he can also say goodbye.
We have come into the western sector of Djuma, everyone, to see if we can't find the leopard that Herbert found. Well, he didn't find that, he found the tracks this morning. And, well, we might be lucky. We have a few minutes left. We're on Zoe's road, and maybe he or she, well, it was a he, but I think Shadow is around here somewhere. Listen to that. You hear that, everybody? That is the unquestionable sound of the summer. And why it has started now is because we had that tiny, tiny little bit of rain this morning. And what's happened there is that the cicadas have come out of the ground, some of them, and you can hear them calling. They're not really in the trees so much as they are underneath. Probably just popped out of the rootstocks and making their way up to the tops of the trees, as Eggsy shows us our favourite torchwood. So that's a really nice little sign of the summer, isn't it? And that's brought on by just that tiny little millimetre of rain that we had earlier today. Brilliant. I love the sound of cicadas, if they're not too close. That was a cricket there. There are lots of them around here. So cool. And they're all much lower down than they are in the in the summertime. That's so exciting. All right, everybody, that's going to be it from thank you very much for joining us. A big thank you to BLS and Brian Joubert on the other vehicle, and of course lovely to have Steph and Herbert and VM out on foot. Wonderful stuff. Big thank you to Louise in the final control, of course, and she was ably assisted by Rebecca. Mostly to all of you for giving us of your time. It's lovely always to talk to you, and thank you for all your conversation. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 0600. Until then, stay safe and happy.